Am I the asshole for choosing my budget over my boyfriend this Halloween? I need some perspective here. This whole thing is so out of control. I, 28, own my house and my boyfriend, 29 per meter, moved in January. We had a ton of early money arguments and agreed that we would keep to a household budget. Also, he agreed to pay down his credit card debt. I have more flexibility in my personal spending than he does. Early after we moved in, my boyfriend told me that as a kid he always wanted to live in one of the houses that were totally decorated for trick or treat and handed out full-size candy. Here's where I messed up. I took this as a comment and not a plan. When the end of September came, we went to the Halloween store, and he was under the impression we had savings for this. I didn't know. We go over the monthly budget together, and it was never listed. When he found out that there was no Halloween savings, we had an argument. Afterwards I talked to friends who all said he had talked about trick or treat extensively and how much it meant. I chalked this one up to a misunderstanding on my part. So I came up with $500 my money, and went to him with an apology. He decided to buy one big piece, an animatronic clown and some lights. It burned through the $500, plus he put a little on his own credit card. He wanted another big piece and was mad I wouldn't put it on my credit card. I asked if he wanted to put up handmade decorations or spider webs, but he said it would look cheap. A few weeks later, we had a fight over candy. He was still stuck on buying full-size bars. We easily get over 250 trick-or-treaters and I said we just don't have that much money. So we got the bulk bags of good small bars. I also had these little coloring books for the allergy and diabetes kids. Jump forward to Halloween. Early kids show up and he is letting them grab handfuls. I remind him we have a ton of trick-or-treaters coming, and he got really annoyed. I had ordered a pizza for us. So I get it and go inside for about 10 minutes. By the time I came back out, the trick-or-treat bowls were empty. He had been dumping a third of a bowl in each kid's bag and had given out all the coloring books to whatever kids came along. He told me that I'd have to go run out and buy more candy on my credit card. I said I wasn't going to do that, and it wasn't my fault. He just handed out 20 pounds of candy. He started yelling right there in front of the kids, and I told him to come inside. He responded that he wasn't stopping trick-or-treating even if there was no candy. I told him to have fun with the clown, and went inside. He came in 15 minutes later. Then he demanded that I leave for the night so that he could clear his head. He argued it was fair because I had already eaten and it was my fault that trick or treat was ruined. I'm cheap. I handed the rest of the pizza at him and refused. He left and went to a friend's house, and I guess they spent the rest of the night drinking, handing out trick or treat candy and texting me how awful and cheap I am. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole it sounds like. He isn't able to financially support himself. You already support him financially. You do more in the sense of organization, responsibility, planning. He full expects you to realize his dreams without having to lift a finger. Please tell me this guy at least does half the chores? To me it sounds he is like maybe 8 years old and throwing a tantrum. Even told her to leave the house she owns for the night. And yeah, he's never going to pay off his credit cards. This original poster, if he is pushing you so much to just splurge on your credit card over and over, and being so frivolous with money, do you honestly believe he is going to pay off his credit cards? Greater than he was under the impression we had savings for this. No, he wasn't, because he didn't contribute to any savings for this. He was under the impression you were going to cave and pay for it. And she did, too, just not to his expectations. Not the asshole, and you need to run from this man. Making fun of how cheap you are when he is living in your house that you own? Absolutely not. Tell him he can GTFO. Who is he to tell you to leave your own home? I'm livid for you, girl. You need a man, not this child. I am so mad on original poster's behalf. Cheap after dropping $250 on candy? And $500 on his stupid decoration? This guy sucks. He will drain every penny from you always. Do not stay with him unless you want to be broke for the rest of your life. And then he had the audacity to tell her to leave her own damn house. Exactly. When I read this, my jaw hit the ground. Excuse me? She owns the house. He's definitely the asshole. Original poster is not the asshole. So he manipulated you into spending $500. You didn't mess up. There was no savings for that and he knew it. If he has credit card debt and is still spending like that, he clearly has financial issues. Then he tries to bring you down with him. After the way he treated you, trying to kick you out of your own house, I'd think long and hard before taking him back. I wouldn't think long or hard. To me the answer is clear, but I don't put up with BS, so telling me to leave my own home would have immediately ended it. Done. Greater than he left and went to a friend's house, and I guess they spent the rest of the night drinking, handing out trick-or-treat candy and texting me how awful and cheap I am. So you're kicking him out, right? Because you're not going to accept being treated this way, right? Because you're a grown woman who owns her own house and he can't even figure out how to budget $500, a crazy amount to begin with, on one holiday? Come on. You know you don't think there's any way you could be an asshole here. My mind is blown that he wanted her to leave the house that she owned. I hope original poster wakes up and takes note of his bad behavior. Not the asshole, it sounds to me like you're his ATM, not his girlfriend. Seriously, whatever issues he had to create so much credit card debt in the first place have not been resolved. He's fixing to ruin your credit rating, not raise his own. A lot of the debt is understandable. He spent part of his childhood in foster care, and his parents kicked him out when was 18 with nothing really. He went into debt early to pay for his basic needs, never really learned how to have financial literacy. Only when I pointed it out did he start to pay more than the minimum on his debts and start to work his way out of it. You can make excuses for him all you want. He's still the guy who blew hundreds of dollars of your money for trick-or-treaters, tried to throw you out of your own house when you told him you weren't spending any more, and spent the rest of the night abusing you via text. I'm not getting the feeling you're backing a winner here. This comment is everything. Greater than my boyfriend, 29 per meter. He's 29, perfectly capable of reading books on financial literacy. He's not a child anymore. He hasn't been a child for 11 years. There's a point when you have to address your issues, as an adult, and clearly he has not. His plan. His savings. Period. He shouldn't have planned with your money in mind. You did nothing wrong. You were way more gracious in your handling of the situation than he deserved. And now that he's gone, are you sure that you want him back? Maybe you guys moved in together too soon. Like someone suggested, changing the locks might be a good idea. Not the asshole, but he is. Edit. Reasons why he's in a hole. 1. He didn't save for his plan and expected you to pay. 2. He gaslit you into thinking that you messed up somehow. You didn't. The only mistake that you did was have him as a boyfriend. And then let him move in with you. Now that I think of it, you messed up quite a bit. You shouldn't have listened to his friends. Another mistake there. Also by paying for any of the stuff. Not your monkeys, not your circus, as the saying goes. What you taught him is that he can guilt you into submission. And he will keep doing it as long as you let him. Another mistake would be letting him back into your life and your house. He's a walking red flag, and you will keep messing up if you don't see that. 3. He guilted you into fixing his mess. 4. That still wasn't enough for him. And he wanted you to put it on your credit card. He's in and wants to put you in debt over candy? How now? In what universe does that make sense? 5. He wanted you to leave your own house. How can you not see the red flags here? How to clean up your mess? 1. Ditch him and his crappy friends. 2. Change the locks. 3. Choose better next time. 4. Make sure he doesn't have any of your financial info edited. I just want to add that he likely gave out fistfuls of candy to the early trick-or-treaters so that when they ran out, original poster would feel obligated to go out and buy the full-size candy bars he wanted in the first place. So glad that didn't work out for him. Wow, not the asshole. Yes, there was some miscommunication, but you more than made up for it by providing $500. That should have been more than enough to deck the house out. And in reality, after this Halloween you'd have known to budget more so you could add to the decor next year. His behavior and attitude in handing out the candy was absolutely gross and ridiculous. If he was so hellbent on providing full, king-size candy bars, then he needed to have pulled money from his own pocket to do so. Instead, he demanded it from you as though you were an ATM. And to tell you to leave your own house? Oh hell no. If I were you, I'd rethink the relationship, because it sounds as though the two of you do not share the same financial mindset. He pretty much said the candy thing was because I had already ruined Halloween. Which is the part to me that's really not defensible from him. He acted maliciously and idiotically just to make more of an argument, pretty much. Course somewhere there's a dozen kids who made out like bandits on Snickers and Reese's, so I guess there's a little good out there. Well, I know what happened. He wanted treats for Halloween but wanted to trick you into paying for it all. He can go pumpkin chuck himself out a door. Wanting you to leave your place so he can be a pouting baby. Pumpkin chuck will now be regularly used in my household. What a fuck. Not the asshole. He doesn't get to tell you to leave your own house because he is throwing a temper tantrum more appropriate to the kids doing the trick or treating than the adults handing out the candy. And if he wants more candy, he can damn well go buy it himself. Shocked he didn't come back to original poster's house to egg it tbh. Wow, are you his girlfriend or his mother? Absolutely not, the asshole. I get that a big Halloween is something he's always wanted to do, but guess what? Everyone has stuff they've always wanted to do but can't due to their finances. He needs to learn how to stick to a budget like a proper grown-up. He can't expect you to provide for him so that he can do whatever the hell he wants. Not enough information. Why are you with this guy? Does he pay anything resembling rent? Has he ever shown any signs of financial responsibility? Not the asshole, but I would gently suggest that this is the end of this relationship, for 2 reasons that are not at all negligible. 1. Your boyfriend is nearly 30 years old and deeply financially irresponsible, and has no interest in changing. The former wouldn't be a relationship ender necessarily, but the latter is. You cannot build a life, or rather you shouldn't, with someone who has no problem not only being in debt but putting you in serious debt for frivolous things. It would be different if he just didn't understand how to take care of his finances, but he has made clear that whether it's a matter of ignorance or just irresponsibility, he is indifferent. He doesn't care. You seem really smart and responsible. I don't think you want to build a life with someone who will not only happily ruin your credit and saddle you with enormous debts on a whim, but who will be cruel and berate you for trying to behave more responsibly. Which brings us to 2. Your boyfriend is quite open about the fact that he doesn't care about you, your feelings, your perspective, even on important things like debt, or the hard work that you put into managing your finances responsibly, except to the extent that it means that you have money available for him to spend as he wishes. Which is mostly irresponsibly and frivolously, and without taking long-term consequences into consideration at all. You deserve better. You are not an ATM, and you are not a punching bag to be told off because you asked him very reasonably to behave like an adult, i.e. We all have things we've always wanted to do. Sometimes we are not in a financial position to do them, or they have to be amended to be done within our means, and he just didn't want to and didn't care. You are worth so much more than this, and I don't mean financially. This man does not value you as a partner or a person at all. He is impulsive and irresponsible, but the worst part is that he doesn't care, and he is cruel to you about it. Not the asshole, but please take some time and think seriously about whether this is the sort of person you want to anchor yourself to in the long term. You deserve so much better. My favorite advice to give on this forum is that someone can be a super fun boyfriend, girlfriend for casual dating while also being a terrible choice as a life partner. Original poster's boyfriend makes her laugh and wants to give little kids a fun trick or treat. He sounds great to casually date, but he has no concept at all of how to manage his personal finances and now looks to original poster to make stuff happen financially that they haven't planned for. So he also sounds terrible to be tied to financially for the rest of his life. Original poster would be doing herself a huge disservice to not recognize that this guy is not lifelong partner material and that he's going to drag her down financially with his short-term mindset. Greater than then, he demanded that I leave for the night so that he could clear his head. He wanted you to leave your own house? Because he wasted your money and his? And burned through hundreds of dollars of candy and toys? Do you really want to be dating someone so immature? Not the asshole. Not the asshole. I want to see this $500 clown though. Opening square bracket closing parenthesis. He thought spider webs were tacky? You can get an awesome amount of bang for your buck with spider webs. That thing is hideous. Original poster. You sound like you have a lot of compassion for him, and that is commendable. However, you also have to think about whether he is ready emotionally for cohabitation and if he respects you and the decisions you make regarding your finances. Expecting you to shell out $1,000 on Halloween to realize his childhood fantasy is very immature, but that is not what really concerns me. Him blaming you for not giving in to him and his continued lack of respect after you said no and manipulation is unkind and childish. You deserve respect and collaborative decision-making from your partner. Yikes. Get this man out of our house. He is not mature enough to be living with someone who already has their shit together. Even if you don't break up, consider living separately until he can figure out how adult expenses work. Halloween is fun, and he could have done a lot more decorating and whatnot if he wasn't irresponsible about spending everything all on one item. Then expecting you to foot the bill for the rest of his demands? Nope. This post and his credit card debt tell a very insightful story. Listen to it. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. He's exploitative and childish. Set him straight. You don't have to pay for that kind of thing at all. Edit. Just to be clear, I would 100% dump his ass. It's that bad. Not the asshole. Reddit banned me for describing someone's boyfriend the way I want to describe yours, so will be as clinical as possible. He is an adult male who behaves like a prepubescent juvenile. It's nice to want those things, but you pardon me, he should be saving up for them. You might want to rethink this situation. He burnt through $500 when he could have spread that out for practical or handmade decorations. He doesn't know how to manage finances. I am assuming he's not paying rent and has the nerve to call you cheap, then had the gall to demand you leave your house so he can cool off, and instead he text BPMBS you telling you how awful you are. You sure this is something you can move past as couple? Also, just a tip on portioning out Halloween candy: pre-bag them with Mylar bags, they will have the same amount in YPU, or just handing out a bag at a time. Sounds like you're dating an overgrown kid. Not the asshole. The icing on this ridiculous cake was that he asked you to leave. Good for you for sticking to your budget. It's very clear why he has debt and doesn't seem to grasp how much things cost, or understand how to effectively use money. Spending almost $500 on one item, when he could have gotten many and used that money for candy, was just dumb on his part. Greater than I, 28, F. Own my house and my boyfriend, 29 per meter, moved in January and yet this happened? Greater than then he demanded that I leave for the night so that he could clear his head. I don't think you are ready to live together. It seems he writing checks you can't cash. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. The grown-ass man costume obviously doesn't fit this child. Dump him. Maybe with a full-size candy bar to go, if that's what he values so much.